Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded NHL Ranking Show. I'm your host, Eric, with my main man there, Ron. How are you?
You almost forgot my name.
No, I almost forgot which way to point. So we are getting extremely close to the end of the regular season in the NHL. Um, I've posted these NHL rankings up. We've already had some responses. So I
what,
wanted to get
what
into
are you
the
gonna do, right?
no. One of the responses though was actually pretty interesting. He goes, it'd be interesting if none of these teams make it to the cup or win the cup. He goes, power rankings are predominantly useless, and I kind of see his point.
Oh,
We
I
are
do
doing,
too.
yeah, we're doing a regular season. We're not saying these are going to be the teams that actually finish or are win the cup. This is just currently who we feel are the best teams
At the
in the
moment,
NHL at the moment.
yeah,
We'll be doing an NHL playoff preview show and discussing who we think's going to win at that point. And the power rankings really won't matter at that point.
yeah.
It's all
And,
about
and
matchups.
to be honest, the East keeps jockeying all over the place because there are 8 good teams that are trying to get to the cup,
Yeah.
and they all need to improve their seeding. They want to go into the postseason on a high note. They don't want to back in, and it shows because teams are flip flopping all over the place.
Now, again, the East is extremely close. It's pretty much set who's going to be in. It's just positioning wise. Whereas
Right.
the West has still got some competition going. Probably going to be till the last game of the year for some of those teams.
Yeah,
But
there's
I
still 3 teams out in the West that are not in the wild card spots that still have a shot at getting there.
Yeah. So
So
there's a before we get into the rankings, I know you had discussed you wanted to go over some news in Pittsburgh, who is currently a playoff team. So
yeah,
it could be very important to them if you want to enlighten the fans out there.
yeah, and right now they're limping to the playoffs. They were playing so well that all of a sudden, the wheels came off, and now they're going to be 4 games without Malkin. So that's a big chunk of offense. They have to lose for 4 games, and it's
Yeah.
bad timing. And frankly, it was undisciplined. And he got 4 game suspension for a cross check basically in the face, a vicious cross check. Now, mind you, it was pretty bad. Um, the only question I have is it was similar to the cross check by Matthews. Matthews got 2 games. Granted, it was in the back, but I think his was more forceful than Malkin's. Although Malcolm got him right in the face, he
Which
probably lost a couple of chiclets.
hey, the old chicklets.
So, it was pretty
But they
bad.
still
And I
sell
don't say, I
chiclets.
don't mean that he shouldn't get the 4 game
Yeah.
suspension. I just think it should have been, the same as Matthews. Maybe Matthews should have gotten a 4 game. But I just want to see consistent, you know, penalties and suspensions and all that. And I don't know. I think they kind of messed this one up because it didn't seem right.
So what we believe happened is Roger Goodell is actually doing the punishment now for the NHL. So there's going to be inconsistencies across the board. So none of it's
That's
going to
pretty
make
funny.
sense.
That's
Uh,
good.
but again, how crucial is that loss to them going into the playoffs here? Because they are contending. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. They are in the wild card currently. Pittsburgh
They are not in the wild card, but they are struggling. So
to stay out of the wild card.
they are just barely in that top 3
Yeah. So
because Washington's hot on their heels. It's only 4 points,
yeah, yeah, very very tight at the top there.
and he's going to miss 4 games, so that could change it.
So it'll be really interesting to see how that ends up turning out with them because we understand that the importance of losing players at this point. And if it was an injury, that's unforeseen and you could kind of look at it a little differently. But the fact that it was something that he probably could have prevented makes a difference. And judging by your face, I know you're watching the Bruins. They must be down now.
34 seconds into the game.
All right, that's a good sign for tonight's game.
Still no Pasternak, no Hampus. So they've got some issues going on.
Gotcha. So let's look at some of these rankings and how you seeded them this week. And we start off with the number 5 team, who has kind of bounced in and out of this list on occasion, but has been playing some really good hockey in the last 10 days or so. Or at least the last 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, New York Rangers, well, they're in a position where they can actually win that division. And just for a notation, Bergeron just scored to tie it up quickly. So
okay, there you go.
So all's better in the world again.
All right.
Yeah, so the Rangers are storming, in that division, and I believe they're only 2 points out of first place. And last time we talked about Carolina, and I was a little worried about them because they only made one deal and it wasn't major. And I got a feeling they're gonna collapse. And because all 7 other teams that are vying for the playoffs, they made moves.
Yeah,
like big moves.
Yeah.
So
the Rangers currently 47-20-6 on the season, 7-2-1 in their last 10. So really hot in the last 10.
Shesterkin is just amazing. He's such a great goaltender.
They're on a 3-game win streak, so they look really good the last 3 games. 225 goals for, 187 goals against, plus 38. So they're really, out of all these teams, the lowest. So they play in the closer games. But again, we talked about goaltending and the importance of what goaltending can mean. So you don't need to necessarily score as much, but if you can stop that other team from scoring.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Eric, when you play in that many close games, that is a good preparation for playoff hockey. And I think the Rangers are going to be a very dangerous team. And especially if they get that home ice advantage, that will be big for them. If they can take first overall in that division, they're going to have, home ice for at least 2 series.
Yeah.
And that is big, especially when you got the competition that you're going to have to play against. So, if they win that division, there's a good chance that they'd have to either play Boston or Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Very good chance of that.
And we know what kind of team. So having home ice against those teams could be the ultimate deciding factor of them getting past in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Advancing in the playoffs. So I would say this: if you look at who they're playing, so they got a game at home against Carolina this week, at Philadelphia, and then home again for Detroit. They're 24-7-4 at home, so consistent at home. Carolina, though, that's a very big matchup.
I think they're going to take care of business.
Could factor in like you said, in that division and who takes the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I can see the Rangers winning that game and winning their week, and I don't see them dropping out this week.
All right, we'll have to see how it all turns out because, again, they're hot. 3 straight wins here.
Yeah.
So, number 4, my friend.
Number 4, Calgary
Flames. So, always a fun team. They keep, again, another team. We said it's the 3-4s.
Yeah.
The 4-5s have kind of bounced in and out, and they're back in 44-19-9, 6-3-1 in their last 10. 4-game winning streak currently. So, they are definitely playing some very good hockey the last few games here. 253 goals for, 178 against. They are second in goals against in the league, so they're not giving up a lot. Plus 75. They're at home for Seattle, Vegas, and Arizona, and they're 21-8-7 at home. Again, Seattle, Vegas, and Arizona. Vegas, early in the year, we could have said would be a tough game, but they have not played good hockey.
Well, they have so many injuries. They're just decimated, and they haven't gotten any cohesion for so long now. Even when guys come back, it's going to take them a while just to get into a flow, and I think it's going to be too late for them. We had talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and I felt that they were going to fall short of the playoffs, and it looks as though that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So again, Calgary, very good team. Kind of quiet under the radar.
Yeah,
Again, very
that's
good
where they
against.
like it.
And the funny thing, like you said, the West is really two dominant teams, and then everybody else is kind of jumbled in there. But
Yeah.
Calgary all season has just been, consistent, winning games, and they kind of remained in your top 10 almost all season.
Oh yeah, they have. I don't think they've ever dropped out of top 10. To be honest with you, um, they've been steady all year. They've had maybe like 2 tough weeks. You know, since we've been doing this, and it wasn't enough to drop them so far out of it because they've already been playing well. So, yeah, look, they get a good shot at this. They have some good goaltending. They have great defense. And they have a balanced offense. It's not great. It's not great. But they have a few guys that can put the puck in the net. Johnny Gaudreau, who frankly is a contender for that MVP because look where they are.
No, very interesting team. Number 3.
Number 3, Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, when I called them out a few weeks ago, I didn't think
Yeah.
I'd start this.
You started
Seriously,
something.
I
You
did.
started something.
They must have caught the show, and they said, "Okay, we'll show you. We'll show you."
Austin Matthews was so excited that Sports Unfolded has started to mention him on the show that he decided, you know what? I just want to make sure I'm a consistent now.
Yeah.
And they've
Look,
they've,
he's
they've
such a great player.
right 47, 19, and 6 on the season, 8-1-1 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak, playing some very good hockey. They're a plus 56, so 277 goals for, 221 goals against. We said the defense may be the only issue with Toronto, but their offense is definitely carrying them now. You see that.
I mean, Austin Matthews, he's 60,
Yeah.
like that's a magic number. Like, without really carrying the team, he's carrying this team. Like his whole aura of what he's doing this year has caught fire with this team, and they have played so well. And they're not just beating randoms; they're beating the best teams in hockey lately. And if you look at their score, their week. I mean, they beat Tampa Bay. They basically stuffed them down far enough where I don't think Tampa Bay can catch them either. Um, you know, they lost in overtime to Florida. So again, and that's the game that scares me because they had a 5-1 lead, if I'm not mistaken, and they coughed it up, or a 4-1 lead and coughed it up. So again, that defense can be had. You put pressure on them, they can be had. But for real, like Austin Matthews has just been dominating this year. Dominating.
And I think the issue, like you said, is, and the concern we've had and what you've discussed is defensively. Will they be able to put up enough points to match the fact that they're going to give up a good amount of goals?
Yeah,
and in hockey, honestly, it doesn't always correlate as well. You don't want to match goal for goal.
You don't. And they're hoping that Giordano can settle down the defense, to bring out a better play from them defensively. And a lot of the problem is they're not mobile enough, or they're too mobile to make the correct play to get it out of their zone, and that's where the forechecking of other teams is vital. Is vital. That's the only way you're really going to stop Toronto, is that relentless forechecking.
Yeah, and again, if you think about some of the teams they beat, we talked about Boston. You talked about teams that were ahead of them at the time, and they've come through the last week or so and definitely made a difference. This week, facing at home Buffalo, Washington, and the New York Islanders.
And Ottawa. They got an Ottawa game.
Okay. So again, if that's a 26-7-2 at home, very good at home, all home games.
Yeah, so like let's take that in perspective. There's like what, 10 games left for some teams. Yeah,
Roughly.
they have 10 games left. So, they're going to probably win 3 of those games. You know what I'm saying? Like they could lose to Washington or they might lose to somebody else and beat Washington.
Yeah.
But they're going to win 3 of those games. Now with 10 games left, that's going to put down to 6. You know, nobody's going to catch them. Nobody's going to catch them. So they're in second place in that division. So Toronto should be proud of that.
No, very very good team. And get fun, interesting team because we just don't know.
Yeah.
You really don't. Once the playoffs start, we just don't know what you're going to get out of Toronto.
That's why the fans are so excited up there in Toronto because it is a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
It can get frustrating, when they cough up leads, but
And can I say this? You're a hockey guru. We've discussed this many times. You watch hockey and follow hockey a lot more than most. Uh,
yeah.
so I would say this: do you not feel like this is probably one of the most competitive East,
Oh God, yes.
playoffs? So that there is no clear cut, like you
No,
say.
there isn't. There is not.
Anybody can win, and I think that's what's going to be fun about it is because you can't just sit there and go, okay, well, this team would be an upset. There are no upsets. The 1-8 seed is going to be a matchup where you could say,
yeah, because you're going to have to play Ovechkin.
Yeah,
that's not a done deal.
So it's just going to be so much fun. And so this number 2 team, Ron, is the hottest team in hockey right now. They've won 7 straight.
Yeah.
They are on fire. They are actually 1 game out of having the best record in the NHL now, and that's the Florida Panthers. 51-15-6, 9-1 in their last 10. Again, 7-game winning streak. The number 1 goals for, they've scored 302 goals on the season, giving up 214, a plus 88.
Yeah, and the key there is that forechecking ability as well. And that's why they were able to come back against Toronto from a big deficit because they have that great forechecking ability and they can score goals.
Yeah.
So
some points. So
yes, so good luck to anybody that plays these super offensive teams, but with Florida it isn't just offense. They got a solid defense as well.
No, and again, plus 88, you're definitely, it's the margin of victories have been pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Again, they're 30-6 at home, and they're playing Anaheim and Winnipeg at home, and then at Detroit. 3. That's the next 3 games. I'd be shocked if they lose any of those.
Yeah, I don't see them losing.
So
I don't see them losing those.
They may overtake the number 1 team here.
I think they can, to be honest.
And they may finish as the number 1 team overall for the regular season. And this team has been so consistent at number 1. I'd be pretty surprised, Ron. But we have, in a shocking note, Colorado Avalanche have remained at number 1 for another week. They're holding on. They're barely holding on now, though.
Yeah.
52-14-6, 8-1-1 in their last 10. So you look at what they've been able to do. Very good 6-game winning streak, and Florida's right on their tail.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh was one of those teams, that fell to them this past week. And Edmonton, who came in there hot, they fell by the wayside. Colorado is for real. But again, they haven't made it out of the second round in quite some time now.
It's all what you do in the playoffs.
And can Darcy Kemper be the guy that gets them through that? I don't know. I don't know. Because if I'm matching up goaltenders, I know he's played well, but
and we've seen this with good teams though. How much of it's just a mental grind when you get into the playoffs, and now it's in the back of your head. We haven't been able to get to where we need to get to, and that's when you start to play mistake hockey. You have mistakes. You turning the puck over in your own end and causing those kind of plays that could cost you.
This is the year that people are going to start deciding whether Nate McKinnon is one of the top players or not. because if you can't get it done in the playoffs, you're going to, in Colorado, you're going to be compared to Joe Sakic all the time. Like Joe Sakic
Yep.
was their best player in franchise history. And can he live up to that? That's hard,
You got to win some cups.
because you're trying to exceed past that guy, and there's always something that blocks you. Early exits, injuries, and that's what Nate McKinnon is facing. So it is a mental thing with him, because that's what you got to look at when playoff comes, and if they're up against it, if they're playing where they are potentially eliminated, it's what he does that game is what is going to matter. And I, if he fails, it's not good for him.
Look, at the end of the day, again, I follow football a lot more. And kind of like the Indianapolis Colts, when you think about those Peyton Manning teams, how great they were in the regular season, they got into the playoffs, and the team they should
That's
beat
exactly it.
they would somehow fall short.
Yeah.
In Colorado, it's been every year you hear Colorado's the team to beat, They get into the cup, and
Yeah.
they just can't do it. So this season, I think, to your point, they've been the best team in hockey record wise. They've been so consistent, and you're already starting to see a little bit of chink in the armor there.
I still think Florida's better.
So it'll be
Florida.
interesting to see. They play at home the next three: L.A., New Jersey, and Carolina, all at home.
Yep.
They've only lost 4 games at home, 28-4 with 3 overtime.
This could be a rough week for Carolina too, by the way.
Yeah, right.
They're going to play the Rangers and Colorado.
So I don't think they make the list. They're not back on the list next week. That would be pretty.
I don't think so either.
Pretty safe.
Actually, what I'm telling you, I think the 5 teams that are in right now will be there again.
Remain in. So let's look at those 5 teams and see what we have here. And what do we got for that Bruins score, my friend?
1-1.
All right. You're still with me now. That's what
I'm still with you. Multitasking.
I love it. So we have the New York Rangers at number 5, the Calgary Flames at 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs at 3, the Florida Panthers at 2, and remaining at number 1 currently this week of the Colorado Avalanche. If you'd like to check these lists out, they're on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. They're everywhere you possibly can. MeWe. So check us out on those. You can definitely comment on them. We receive comments pretty regularly now at this point, especially if there's a team in there that most fans don't agree with. We've definitely been hearing about it. But Ron has always stayed consistent with making sure that we're looking at just the team in their current status. It's not really based off of overall season. It's based on that week and what they've done in that week and how we kind of jockey them around a little bit. So you've been very consistent with that, and I appreciate your time with the NHL rankings.
Every single team that we've put in all these weeks deserved to be there.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree, man. And you've caused me to start to follow some of this stuff, and I can start to see as I'm doing these lists, like where you're getting some of the rankings from.
So with that, I'm going to give you 6 through 10 real quick. Minnesota, number 6. Carolina, number 7. Boston, number 8. St. Louis, number 9. Tampa Bay, number 10. And Boston and St. Louis are playing right now.
I can't believe how Tampa Bay is just kind of dropped.
They have not had a good week in quite some time.
So normally each week I give you a challenge. And last week, your challenge was to give us your top 5 NHL tough guys. I know that is the kind of player you like. You like those grindy agitators who get under people's skin, but also like to throw some blows. So I can't wait to hear, because I know how excited you are. You already said you could have gave me 20 guys, because that's how passionate you are about just NHL tough guys. So let's go from 5-1. Your fifth to your number one toughest guy in NHL.
Okay, so before I do the 5, I want to say that a lot of
Honorable mention.
people. No, not an honorable mention. This one is an unhonorable mention. Who
Oh,
is on lots of people's lists? Dale Hunter. I could not stand this guy. I could not even put him in because of one fight he got into. One fight. And that was with Ray Bork. Ray Bork punched him once, lights out. Ray Bork doesn't fight. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a strong guy,
yeah.
but if you get knocked down, one punch and out, that's it. You can't make the list. So anybody that thought Dale Hunter should be on the list, you're not seeing him. It's not happening. One punch, Ray Bork.
Here we
Take that,
go. More
Dale Hunter.
controversy. Never
All
ends
right.
with you.
Now for a honorable mention, Bob Probert. You know, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But he was a great fighter. And the only reason why he's not in the top 5 is because he didn't have a cool nickname.
That it hurts. Nicknames
You know,
sometimes.
if you're a tough guy, why do you not have a nickname?
Yeah.
Because I will give you the nicknames of the top 5.
All right. I love it.
At number 5, former Montreal Canadien.
Wow. Okay.
And he grew up wanting to play for the Bruins, and he did in his last season. And when I went to the Bruins Carnival, before I give you his name, there was a big long line, and my ex at the time had a daughter, Danielle, and she had a thing that he could, get the autograph for. And there was a big long line, and she stood there outside of the line, and I'm like, hey, we got to go to the back of the line. And she just looked at him, and he turns and he looks at her, and he's like, waves her over because she's like a little blonde girl,
Yeah.
And he signed the autograph,
Awesome.
Cutting the massive line that must have been like 50 people long. We would have been there forever.
Nice.
And she got the autograph.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, thank you. That was a fun day. It was a fun day. And that number 5, Chris Nyland. His nickname, Knuckles. He was tough.
That's a tough guy.
He's tough, man. Because he
And
wasn't.
if you haven't had a chance, check out Havenshine Reviews, Sonic 2. Knuckles is in that as well.
Exactly.
Different Knuckles, though.
Knuckles, but yes. Exactly. Nice plug. Thank you. So he's number 5, and Montreal Canadien.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The fact that you put a Montreal Canadien in, and I know how you feel about the Montreal Canadiens franchise. That's pretty impressive. So he's a tough guy because
he's a tough guy.
That one would hurt.
So number 4 is the Grim Reaper. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Stu Grimson.
Oof.
Even
his real name.
I know, huh?
It's like, whoa.
Like he was like 6'7", 6'6", 240 pounds. Like this guy was a beast. A beast. I mean, you couldn't stand toe to toe with this guy.
He's
he was so big
in the NBA.
Exactly. So in his older age now, he does a lot of work on NHL Network. He doesn't look like he'd be a tough guy, but he was a beast. So the Grim Reaper, Stu Grimson, number 4. Number 3, Taz, the Tasmanian Devil, Terry O'Reilly. No, Terry O'Reilly, former Boston Bruin.
I knew you were going to have a Bruin in there.
Look, this guy fought all the tough guys. Every single tough guy in history, all the best, he's fought them. So most of the times they split, with all these guys. They fight each other so often, you can't really nail down a winner. Like he had 2 memorable fights against Clark Gillies, former Islander that passed away. One of them, Gillies won, and that vaulted the Islanders to win a Stanley Cup that year. Mike Bossy and company. That goes without saying.
You just like to give yourself more pain, is what you're doing.
Yes,
but I
yes.
Yes.
Number 2. I love this nickname, by the way. Dave the Hammer Schultz.
The Hammer.
And the Hammer is that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That's the Hammer. This guy, oh my God, what a fighter. And again, 6'6", 220. This guy was big, mean, and nasty. So he's one of the players with the most fights of all time. So, and that leaves number 1.
Number 1 tough guy.
Who's gotten the most fights in his career. The all-time leader in penalty minutes, over 3,000, of course.
Wow.
I think it was like 3,800 or something like that.
Wow.
Something ridiculous. Dave Tiger Williams. This guy was just mean. He was mean. And he had talent, too. That was the scary part, So he could put the puck in the net while doing, 40 minutes of penalties a game. So this guy, he fought everybody, and he is probably the all-time winner of bouts as well. He was nasty. And he fought everybody.
So let me ask you this question, because hockey's changed a lot. You don't see as much of the fighting.
Yeah.
It's so infrequent, when you do see it. But if you had to rank a guy like in today's hockey that you would say is a tough guy, is there a guy like today you would say? I'm not trying to put you on the spot because we didn't say we would discuss this. I'm just curious. Is there a guy today that you would say, that guy is pretty tough?
Most of the times it's a power forward.
Yeah.
Tkachuk is no slouch.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think the toughest guy in the league is probably Chara. Who the hell wants to fight him?
Yeah.
The guy's like 6'8", and
correct me if I'm wrong. Today's hockey, it's more like a Marchand. He's more just an agitator.
Yeah.
He gets under people's skin, but they don't fight. They're not predominantly fighting. They're just let me cheap shot here or something there to kind. That's kind of today's hockey.
Like when you look at the Bruins, I like Frederick. Frederick, he can go. He's fought the toughest guys out there. You're talking. He's fought players like Tom Wilson, and a whole bunch of other cast of characters. Maroon. Falloon is a whole nother guy. Maroon from Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So he played for St. Louis when the Bruins played them in the Stanley Cup, and Maroon basically pushed the Bruins around. They didn't have a guy.
You've really hurt yourself today with all these Bruins.
Yes, I know. I keep bringing up losses too.
Yes.
Let's go back to 2011.
There you go. So, next week's challenge, pretty easy one. I want you to rank the top 5 coaches this season. So, which coaches have been most impressive? It doesn't have to necessarily be the winningest coach this season, but the coaches that you say, look, either this team shouldn't have even been involved in the playoffs and he's got them contending, or you know what, just they have had a fantastic season and that guy's been the top coach. Top 5 coaches in the NHL this season. Pretty easy. All right. So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night at 6 p.m. when we do our regular show, Sports Unfolded.
Oh, I'm going to unload. Oh, my Lord. I cannot wait till Friday.
So excited. Little Cam Newton coming out, I think, this Friday. And a lot about the Lakers. We cannot forget about the Lakers and that train wreck right now.
There are still people on the NBA chat groups that are saying LeBron James is still the best player.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, and Jordan played nobody. Yeah, apparently there was nobody good when Jordan was playing.
Nobody in the league. Yeah, no Charles Barkley's, no Karl
Shaq,
Malone,
Kobe.
Shaq. Yeah, no, those guys stay.
Yeah,
nobody's.
The glove.
The glove. I love the glove. Love the glove. So check us out on Friday nights at 6 p.m. We are live. We're fan interactive. You can follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram. Bruins just got scored on. Check us out on our podcast if you don't have time to watch. Amazon, Anchor, Google, Spotify, and TuneIn. So many different ways to watch and listen. I know you are going to be watching some Bruins right now, so I hope you enjoy the rest of the game. And we'll get a Bees win. They'll come back. Have faith. Have faith. All right, my friend. Well, I just want to say before we leave, a couple of sad stories. So we had the Gilbert Godfrey has passed away. We've lost some great comedians in the last couple
Been a
months
tough
there.
year for comedians.
So it's funny because they said
year.
he posted a picture just a couple weeks ago of him, Louis Anderson, and Bob Saget.
Yeah.
When they were all together, and now they're all unfortunately gone. And the tragedy in New York, we hope that all those that were affected there in New York, hopefully some speedy recoveries. Just a sad story, as again unnecessary violence in our world, and hopefully those people get through and everything goes okay there. So just a couple sad stories, but we feel like it's important because it's not just about sports. Sometimes there's a human element to this world, and we have to make sure that we try to remember that as well. But Ron, I want to appreciate your time, your hockey knowledge, some really good stuff. I think next week might be about the last week, maybe 1 or 2 weeks left of these rankings. Then we got NHL playoffs, and tune in this Saturday as well. We'll do NBA playoff preview. So we'll have the NBA playoffs with Kenny as well. So we're excited about that. Ron, I'll see you on Friday night, 6 p.m., my friend. You take care. Peace, fans.
Always a pleasure. Have a good night, everybody.